Okay, here is my Cascading Juniper. I think it's a Japanese juniper, if I remember right. It's doing pretty good. It's bounced back from its prune this summer. I think I did it later in the summer, like maybe somewhere between early and mid summer. I do have one little branch that died off here. I don't know why. Just did. I'm hoping if we have our group has our fall show next year, that maybe this tree will be in shape to do that, to be in that finally. I don't know. We'll see how it develops in, but I think pad wise I have it pretty much where I want it. I do want to do a little bit of wiring on it today for the winter. I'm thinking about trying to bend this up a little more, get in it a little bit, and I may shorten this gin. I'm not sure yet. I may take a little bit off that gin. I think the gin is a little long, but I could be wrong. I just want to look at it real quick. Okay, but and we're going to also put some lime sulfur on it. So let's start getting some wire out for that. I'm trying to think. Let's see here. I better go with stuff. Okay. So let's see what kind of piece of wire I'm going to look for here. I think this should do. This wire, I'm going to actually, I think, put down into the soil. I'm going to anchor that. I bring it around. As it is, it's going to be a little weird coming up here because it's just the way the wire is and what I want to do with it. It's not going to be the neatest piece of wire at all, but it'll do the job of what I want it to do, to bring this back piece up a little. This is probably the thickest wire I could probably bend by hand. I should probably use my gin pliers to bring it around some here. Now I also want to try to maybe change the direction. I don't know. No, maybe not. Alright, we're going to try to bend this now. But I wanted to give this tree, what we did by cutting this off, we stopped the tree. I had the tree over too far. When you're doing a cascade, you don't really want to create the starting or another cascade going the other way. You don't really want the tree going too far back over itself. A little bit won't hurt from what I understand, and yeah, like I said, this is terrible wiring, but it's about the only way I could get that piece of wire in there very easily, as thick as it is. But generally, you don't want the tree going back over itself. So by doing this, I've raised this some, and I kind of like this. And we're going to turn this, we are going to wire that because we're going to wire it down some. We're going to turn this more into a back branch, that other branch. And as you see, it kind of changes the top of the tree. It gives it some height, which it needed, I think. We're going to wire this down a bit, and this will sort of act as the new leader in the tree. So let's get a piece of wire. Trying to think. I think I can get away with this. I think I can get away with the stuff here. Let's see here. I should be good. About there. We're just gonna bring. No, with this we're gonna anchor off the other. We're gonna anchor this. I don't think I'm gonna. Let me see. Do I need to wire mess with this? Maybe the end, but I don't need a. Oh, I have plenty of wire. Try to use this. This. And I was wrong. I needed a longer piece. I have a longer piece, but let's unwind this and try to redo this again. Yeah, I made a mess. Mix up here. We should be able to make use of this wire again. I'm just going to stretch it out as far as I can here. And actually bring this down. I'm going to start winding this. Let's see here. So I don't need as much on the top as the bottom. You know what? I think I need a longer piece of wire for this, actually. Just get a new piece. Use that for something else. Because I did cut it before I decided I was going to wire it. 2 branches. And I think I'm just bringing it up the trunk, but okay, there's that. And then I got too long of a wire. Not a good thing to do, because can be wasteful of wire if you overdo it on wire. If you don't have a piece left over that you can reuse, it's not the greatest thing. And this I will just clip out of here. The end out of there. Okay, so what we want to do here is I'm going to actually, I want to bring this back a little bit just to kind of give it some movement, and bring this up a little bit so it's not sitting down on this one. And I'm going to actually cut this. There's 2 branches back here that I had kept. I don't need both of them. They're not in good places. They're not both in good places. And I think that works. We don't need that pad so high here. So we'll just take that off because we don't need it. And then this, we're going to bring down. We're going to create this and turn this into a back branch. And this will become my new leader here eventually. There's not a lot there yet. But that'll become the new leader. And this I like this how this bends over on it. It's not always typically the best thing to do, but I think it'll work. And I'm just going to pinch this off because we don't need that going into that. And like I said, I don't want to do much on this. Now this should come down a little bit, I think. So we get a piece of wire for that. Let's see. Okay, I'm gonna trim both of those. So, we need a piece of wire. Bridge the gap there. And then also, I want to trim this completely dead branch off. Clean that up a little. Okay. This is going to be a little weird just to get going because we got the pot in the way. No, this is a weird branch. It's kind of coming from the other side, but I don't mind that too much. I don't mind this one crisscrossing here. The way the tree looks, I think it doesn't harm it. And I was thinking I'm going to bring something down. It may have been better. We're going to find out. We may have made it a little hard to do what we want to do. Okay, now this I want to bring down like that and twist it so that comes back a little bit. And then we just want to bring this thing back a little bit and down. Trying to think if those need anything. That could use a little bit. I will bring this down. And I think I'll just do that with a piece. I'll spiral a piece down off of the piece I'm going to bring down to do this. And I do see one thing I'm just going to remove because I know I don't want it now. I'm starting to see that I don't want this where this is. Just doesn't add much to the eventual filling into this pad. But I do want to change the overall shape of this just a little bit. So, I need a piece of wire. Let's see here. Let's actually bring this up around this a little bit. Anchor this in place a little bit. I think I'm going the wrong. Yeah. Gonna have to go the right other way. This is what I talked about earlier. I kind of messed up. Because now, let's just bring this down here. So you don't want this, you don't want the two wires, you don't want the wire to cross over. I mean, it wouldn't be a huge deal at this time of the year, just because the tree is dormant and it's not going to really, they're not going to grow, so it could work without too much of a problem. Here's the problem, is trying to wire this up. Yeah, this won't be anchored like I was going to plan. And yes, I am not the best at wiring. And I do wire sometimes, and other times I don't. Now this is actually hitting the pot, so when I repot it, which I may do then in the spring to give it a little different of a shape. I'm gonna bring this. Let's see here. So I want this just a little bit to that end. Yeah, that looks good. Because this can be clipped. These can be trimmed a little bit in the spring. Because if I trim this, I'm gonna probably not trim it a lot. Just a light trimming of anything out of whack, and hopefully get it to the point where we can put it in the, if we have a show next year, I can put it in the show next year. Because this is probably my most, this is the tree that is the furthest along. Now I think this piece of wire will work here. So we will just run a piece of wire along here. And all I really wanted to do with this was I wanted to put a little bit of a bend in this area. Bring that out a little bit. Yeah, I think that adds some interest to that. And I like the top a lot better, I think, this way. Trying to decide if we need to do anything. I'm actually thinking this branch might benefit by being positioned just a little different. Let's just get a piece of wire on here. So that, I think that helps actually not show this area as much, which is not too bad, but alright, now this got a little broken somewhere. I'm just going to pull that back, because that's generally how we created these gins, was just to pull back on them. So let me just double check it. Yeah, that looks good. I think that looks good. I'll rotate it around. And then next we will do we'll do the chin, clean the gin up. Okay, here's generally what I have. This is sulfur, lime sulfur, diluted in water. Sorry, the jar's a little dirty. It's been sitting around. I have it pre-mixed up, and it seems to be, might be, it's just, and you just, I put it on, I like putting it on dry. Some people say it needs to be put on wet wood. Some people say dry wood. I find dry wood is better because it goes where you want it. And you really don't want to get it on any of the wood, any of the live parts. I got it on there a little bit one time. I've never seen it like kill wood back off, but it takes a while for the patina of the wood to get back to where it was. So you'll have this lighter, like bark. Not really the wood, the bark gets lighter on you. You don't want that. You want the bark to look weathered, like it's supposed to be, not like grayed out or whited out. This piece has never been done. I had done it. I had made this into a gin when I clipped this in the summer, and so you want to generally let this all dry out and have some time to be dried out before you generally you put this lime sulfur on it. And this stuff stinks. Think rotten egg, but a little worse. But it is, yeah, it is generally that rotten egg smell. But as I said, there's two schools of thought on it. Some people say it should be done wet, on wet wood. Some people say dry wood. I am in the, like I said, I am in the dry wood category, and you want to, this wants to be put on at least once a year, maybe twice a year. It's for two reasons. Preserving it is one. It'll act as a preservant, and it'll keep the wood, the dead wood, which you want to keep as a feature, from rotting out. Also, get it white. So if you're looking for that white look, this would be the way to get that white look. So, yes, it goes on, it's kind of yellow. It'll take a few days to change to like a real white. And depending on your application of mine, I want this to look real white. If you wanted to look more gray, I know of two ways. There's either put it on way early, let it start graying some, or you can actually, I think what you do is you put it on and you try to wipe, you rinse some of it off. You let it sit a while, and then you rinse it off. And it should give you partial. It won't work completely to whiten it, to bleach it out. But I wanted to bleach it out, so there it is in its new configuration. So, I hope you enjoyed. And if you did, like, subscribe, comment, and I will see you next time.